Hey, Wildflowers. I'm Amy Logan, and I coach ex-Mormons. If you only knew how many times my clients say to me, Amy, this work is life-changing. You'd be working with me too. Why do they say that? Because I help them take their emotional power back. Let's get your brain working for you and not against you. Come work with me. Exmormonology, Episode 7. Welcome. Hello, you guys. Another week of Exmormonology. All right. A little bit of fun. My birthday is this Friday, January 31st. And guess what? It's a big birthday. I'm turning 50. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around it, but it's the real thing. Like, it's happening. So I'm just going with it. I'm super excited. It's kind of funny because I don't know if you've noticed on social media, people start saying, oh, January's a long year, because it's a long month and it's cold for many people. And I just have to laugh because I'm always looking forward to the end of the month and excited that it's my birthday month. So I am happy with January being a long month. So I'll be celebrating. My kids are coming into town, driving from Utah to California. They'll be bringing their girlfriends with them. And we're just going to cram a lot of fun in a weekend. All I know is there will be roller skating involved. So that's it. That's all I know. And I could not be more happy about it. So it's going to be the best 50th birthday ever. All right. And the funny thing about me is I've never been one of those people who have a hard time with the next age I am or the age I currently am. Like, I've never understood people who say, oh, I'm 29 again. Like, I get why people say that, but I just I don't know. You'll never hear me saying that because I am always grateful to be having birthdays. That's the alternative, right? Is to not be having birthdays. I loved myself when I was 29. I love myself now that I'm 49 and 50. But this is the first birthday that just kind of was like, wow, 50. Okay, we're going with it. I was having my hair done last Friday, and a new gentleman I'd never been to before, and we were talking about it, and I was like, I turned 50 in a week, and he's like, oh, you're just starting. It's Friday the 31st will be day one of your life. You're just getting going. And that really meant a lot to me. And I was like, thank you. I will take it. Let's go with that one. I like it. So wherever you are on the aging scale, enjoy your birthdays. It's good to have birthdays. All right, let's jump in. Today I want to talk about hiding. All right, I know we're shifting gears and I didn't get permission. Like I said last week, I keep forgetting to message this gal of this thing that I want to read. So I will get to that. It's funny and I do want to share it with you. But my brain starts wandering to places where I look back over my faith crisis. And this one was about hiding. And I'll start with kind of being funny about this because it's not always funny. But when I'd kind of already been through the crisis part. And I'm testing the waters, right, of life not being a full believer. I would drink my coffee in hiding because I was scared to bring home a coffee cup. I was scared to have anybody see me drink coffee. So I would just drink my coffee in private. And I guess that was a form of hiding. And it's so amazing when you go through all these stages of your faith crisis, when you feel like you're waking up to the world and that things are getting better, but you still have these fears, right? So it can be everything from drinking your cup of coffee to maybe not wearing your garments anymore or not going to church on Sunday or, like whatever the thing is that you're kind of like worried what people are going to think, right? How about wearing a tank top, ladies? That would be revealing that you're not wearing garments. We get very self-conscious. So I kind of want to talk about hiding today. I titled it Hiding because I remember the hiding stage. So yes, a few little silly things, but also hiding in those early stages feels safe, kind of, sorta, right? You're still kind of scared. I was okay being in my cave because I didn't really know what I believed yet, or that it was okay that I didn't have a certain belief anymore. We've talked about this before where like in Mormonism, all the answers to life's big questions. And so now that you don't, it's very natural and normal to retreat a little bit as you're processing things. So that's totally okay. I remember thinking during that time when I hadn't come out yet that it would be easier to stay. I remember thinking that often because I knew that the minute that I started kind of making not declarations, but saying, I'm no longer going to be going to church, I'm no longer teaching. I was Young Women's Laurel's advisor at the time. When you start making the definitive choice to stop doing your Mormon things, at that time I turned in my manuals and I just started making little decisions along the way. All right. And that's a good way to do it, especially if you're kind of in that hiding stage, making little decisions. Maybe you are going to go have a cup of coffee and you're going to experience that alone by yourself to see what that's like. I also know it can be very intimidating looking up at the menu at Starbucks when you've never ordered a cup of coffee before, not knowing what coffee even tastes like. So maybe we should do a whole lesson on coffee. I personally love coffee now. I love the ritual of coffee. I love everything about it. But all right, that's a tangent. So I would have the thought it would just be easier to stay. I wouldn't have to deal with all the things that I was super scared about. And it's funny, not funny, when you leave the church and you start to hear rumblings or gossip about why you've left, or maybe they're not even rumblings. Maybe you've been outright told that you're wrong for leaving. Or maybe you've heard, oh, you'll be back. I heard that so many times. Oh, you'll be back. Like they think it's just a stage you're going through. Maybe you heard, oh, you're weak. You couldn't handle living the gospel. Or you left because you got offended about something. Or you left because you wanted to sin. How about that? If people only really knew. Like, oh my gosh, it's like the least of what's going on in your head right now. Or how about this one? Or you're just too lazy. I guess that would kind of go along with you couldn't handle it. The truth is, you guys, it would be easier for everyone else if you stayed. Let that sink in for a minute. It would be easier for everyone else if you stayed. So when I was in this stage, I tried faking it, right? I'd go through the motions, put a smile on my face and go to sacrament meeting, even all my meetings at that point. I was physically there at church with my family, right? So I'm going through the motions of teaching my lessons, going through the motions of all of the pieces, going through the motions. At some point, though, I realized this was not going to work for me. I literally felt like I was going nuts because I had already internally left, right? In my mind, I'm like, the church is not true for me, but I would go because I felt like I needed to toe the line. So I felt like I was going nuts. I know that there are people who can go and make it work, and that's wonderful. And if that's where you are, keep doing what you're doing. That's okay. All you need to do, though, is like your reasons for leaving or for staying. And guess what? You get to come up with them, nobody else. This includes your spouse. This includes your kids. This includes the nosy busybody lady from the ward as well. But what I want to tell you is that it's easier for other people if you stay because they do not have to have uncomfortable feelings about you leaving the fold if you're there, right? If that's your reason, meaning you're staying because it would be easier and you don't want to make anyone else feel uncomfortable, I want you to do the work to find a better reason. Those types of reasons can lead to depression, sickness, sadness for sure. When you're suppressing all your feelings and what you're truly feeling inside, that's just not a good way to be living. I had a follower on my YouTube channel. Some of you might know my YouTube channel. For a while it was Soul Searching Girl, changed it to Amy Logan. I believe it's Post Mormon Life. I had someone leave a comment or private message me, I can't really remember, about how he was just going to stay because it was just too much pain for him to see that he was making his grandmother, his parents, and siblings sad. He was going to stuff it down and live a life to make everyone else happy. That's literally along the lines of what he was saying. He was young. I want to say he was about 18. And my heart just broke for him because I know that that's no way to live your life. It doesn't matter what your issue is. Living your life for other people is only going to cause you harm in the end, or at least a very unhappy, unfulfilled life. This just doesn't work. This type of thinking will wreak havoc on your mental health and your body. You will only be able to maintain this type of living before it takes its toll on you. So many of us feel like if we could just hide and keep it in, we will not be rocking the boat, right? What's the end game there, though? And maybe that's too far down the road, and that's fine. And that's why I'm saying it's okay to have a space where you're not certain of what to do going forward and you stay in that space. But eventually, how do you think life will be like if that's what you keep doing? I totally get that this is hard, 100%. But the minute you understand that you're not responsible for anyone else's feelings, you will feel free. Think about the power you have if you are the one that control what everyone else thinks and feels. Let that sink in, you guys, because this is what keeps us trapped, right? I mean, we don't think we're controlling everybody's thoughts and feelings. We know that on a logical level, on an intellectual level, we know that's not happening. But what's keeping you in hiding or feeling stuck or moving forward is when you do think you have influence over what someone thinks and feels. All right. So really think about that. And I want to lay it out that clearly so you can see that that's what it is. When you can start to separate yourself from the thinking that you're the one who's causing those negative feelings of others, you will be able to begin that process of doing what's best for you. And usually that means coming out of quote unquote hiding. It may very well be that you stay and go to church meetings. It may very well be that you leave and you never go back. But when you can make that decision from a clean space, knowing that you're not causing anyone else to feel pain, it will be easier for you to make that decision. Other people, your friends and family that are in the church, are hurting because of the beliefs and thoughts that they have about the church and what it means to be a member. Okay, that's their paradigm. Of course, they're going to feel sad because they've been taught that you need to be a member of the church to be together in the next life, to obtain the highest degree of the celestial kingdom. Like you have to do all those things, right? So they've been taught that you need to hold to the iron rod. You need to choose the right. Okay, remember that this is their paradigm. So they see you as going off into the great and spacious building or sinning or living a life of all mayhem and debauchery, right? Because that's what they think. And that's what we as members were taught that. I'm sure you can remember that. So we get in trouble in our heads when we think they shouldn't be thinking those things. But what else are they going to think? Can you see that? Why would they think anything different? They get to keep those beliefs. You get to keep your new beliefs or even your new unbeliefs. So the question is, what do you want, my dear? You may not even know that right now, and that's okay. But when you start to feel restless from hiding, it's time to take steps forward. I had a light bulb moment one day. My time frame's a little blurry, but I remember being in the early stages of my faith crisis. And I found that, like I said before, I did want to hide a lot of my new discoveries. I was so afraid. I was afraid of the judgments of others. So, like, let's say I was reading Rough Stone Rolling in public somewhere. I'm at the park with my kids, or I'm sitting, in a cafe having lunch and I'm reading. And there are books like that. And I even checked out books I lived in Spanish Fork. I checked out books from the Spanish Fork Library that would have been considered anti-Mormon. I was very self-conscious of how that would look. Now, mind you, I was living in Utah, so there's that. Lots of Mormons around all the time. And I found that I felt like an alien at this point amongst my own community. Isn't that so weird? That we change our thought process, right? So any belief that anyone has is a thought on repeat. You stop repeating those thoughts, and now you're looking for other thoughts, but you're changing it, and we feel like we have to be the one to hide and keep quiet. So when I was having all those thoughts about, of course, even when I wasn't wearing my garments anymore, I would still dress appropriately. I quote unquote appropriately for all that fear of judgment, right? Eventually, I think we realized that we have it backwards. And this was the light bulb moment that I had. What if someone else who was struggling and having doubts, just like I was, could benefit from me being more public about my doubts and new discoveries? Like, that's a brain shift right there. The paradigm is that we have to be the ones to keep quiet. We have to be the ones to do all this in hiding. We have to be the ones to not rock the boat, right? And what if it's the opposite? What if it is great to rock the boat? What if it is great to talk about your doubts? What if it is great to speak your new truth and that you don't have to be in hiding? All right. And that maybe all the things that you're saying, maybe you're starting to post things on Facebook. Maybe you're starting to talk about it more openly. You never know. When I first started doing this back in, can't remember exactly when I went public about it, but let's see, 2010 maybe, because Facebook started in 2008. I doubt I was talking too openly about this, still a little bit in hiding, not too much. But the point that I'm getting at is when I eventually started talking about it, people would start talking to me about it. Like they would secret message me or they would respond to one of my YouTube videos and I'd be like, "Oh my gosh. This is why we have to talk about this. This is why it's okay to put your voice out there even if you're trembling, even if you don't have the answers, that's okay." Seriously, y'all, this is when things will start to shift for you. Challenge that brain of yours. It's easy to stay in hiding. But once you step out of that, you'll start to feel that freedom. Once you start realizing you're not in charge of anyone else's thoughts and feelings, you will feel better. You're trying to make decisions about moving forward. And we talked about this a little bit in one of my other episodes about you're using the same brain that has been conditioned that anything outside of what you've been taught is wrong or bad. No wonder this is so hard, you guys. Old beliefs die hard, and it takes practice to start creating the new thoughts to move forward. You're literally like a fish swimming upstream. You're going against the current, and it is hard and exhausting. Now, current equals family, friends, church, neighbors, your old regular routine, right? But hard is okay. Exhausting is okay. It's when we think this shouldn't be so hard. Let it be hard. Like, it's okay. It's the resistance to all of that that makes it harder. So hide for a bit if you need to. Spend time there. Think things through. It's perfectly okay to stay put for a while, especially while you're just trying to figure out up from down. When you feel that restlessness begin, though, you'll know it's time to start stretching your wings. Maybe you'll be speaking up. For me, one of the first times I spoke up, and this was before my full-blown faith crisis, it was 2004. I was in my family room having a conversation with 3 very close family members. 2004 was the year the Utah State Legislature passed a bill banning same-sex couples to be married. And I remember talking to these family members, and I spoke up. This was like a little try. I remember saying, I don't have a problem. I don't see a problem with same-sex couples getting married. This makes no sense to me that if 2 people of the same sex want to be married, that has no influence on my marriage, right? So I was going down that line of thinking, just going, what? This doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. And of course, they'd bring up the 1995 Proclamation to the Family, and, this is a God's law, and this is the way it is. And I was shut down very quickly. Now, it was 2004, so I hadn't even had my full-blown faith crisis yet, but I was testing the waters of me feeling different than my family around me. And it feels so strange to be shut down when your brain's just going, but. So over the years, as I allowed myself to study and educate myself, my ability to think for myself and speak up and stand on my own 2 feet with the direction of my thinking, did I start to come out of hiding. First, you start to have these thoughts and feelings that you realize are differing from those around you. You give yourself the permission to study, educate yourself, think things through, and then you start to practice by speaking some of your new thoughts. Now, I would dare bet you're going to be shut down, especially if you were like me and everyone around you was Mormon. But you will gain this ability as you lean into your own intuition. You follow that gut feeling that's been bugging you for a while. I mean, you are here listening to this podcast because you're on your own journey doing what you feel is best. You're studying it out. I completely applaud you for this. We are pioneers, ironically, leading the way for those coming behind us, leaving the church. Our voices collectively help us all. So I guess that's why it's important to talk about hiding. I want you to know it's important. That's an important stage of this. But it's also important to speak out as you gain your strength and as you start standing on your own 2 feet, as you are making these decisions in your life. All right. Because we collectively help the next people coming behind us. I mean, I think I have been in some role helping people since I left, since I officially left the church. You know, my faith crisis started in 2006. I had my name removed in 2009. And as I've got more brave and more confident in how I was thinking and feeling, I've been helping people in some way, shape, or form or capacity since then. All right. And the volumes of people who've been leaving the church has continued to grow. So that's why all of our voices collectively help build the community of those of us who've left. So, how do you want to feel about this stage of your journey? All right. Do you want to feel inquisitive? Do you want to feel secure, vulnerable, open? What do you need to think to feel those feelings? So, when you're ready to start coming out of hiding, doesn't mean you have to have all the answers, but what do you need to think to feel like you can do that? Keep looking at your thoughts because they are 100% causing your feelings. Doesn't matter the feeling, good or bad, scary, fearful, anxious, overwhelmed. The thought behind it, you'll find out what thought you're thinking. And that, my friend, is where the work is. All right? All right. If you're still in your hiding cave and it feels warm and cozy in there, so that's okay. Study things out. Stay there as long as you need to. But I guarantee you, you will find the point in time where you feel restless and you want to come out. That is a very brave, courageous thing to do. And if you've experienced that, you know what I'm talking about. Doesn't matter if you're still in the cave hiding or if you've come out and everyone knows you've left the church. All right. Be patient with the process. It is a process. Every stage, I tell you, it is a stage. It is a process. Okay, my friends, that is it for today. I will see you next week.